Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of PoCommunity. I'm Mike Arboyd and I'm sitting here with Kira Johnson. How's it going?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I've known you a long time, Kira.
Yes, we have. Let's talk a little
So
bit
I'm
about
very,
that.
very happy that you came in today because,
Yes.
yeah, it's what, almost 15 years I've known you.
Something like that for sure. Oh my gosh. So how did we first meet? How does that
I
go?
worked at Columbus Center at CAPS
Yes.
and you were at TELUS.
I was at TELUS. Yes. And my sister worked with you. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
What a small
and
world.
15 years. It's depressing how long ago that was, but yeah, no, it was a good time. I remember always just loving being around you. Just a
Thank you.
great soul to be around.
I
So
appreciate it.
when we opened this business and I saw what you were doing with real estate,
Yes.
reached out to you right away because it's great to see that you've gone out on your own pretty much and
Absolutely.
are doing just that amazing job at what real estate because
Yes.
I know you and I know how personable you are and how great of a person you are. So yeah,
For sure.
how did you get involved in real estate?
No, I appreciate that. And first off, yeah, thank you so much for reaching out to me. That was amazing and so great to come visit you and Aaron last year and kind of check out like what's going on here, and then being invited to the podcast is lovely as well. How did I get involved into real estate? So I'll be honest, it's a career that I've always wanted to do. So I have a degree in criminology, and I did that. I started off in Douglas College here in Coquitlam, and then I moved over to Burnaby, doing my criminology side of things at SFU. And I always either wanted to be a realtor or a criminal defense lawyer. So then I pursued the avenue of criminal defense. I was working actually at legal aid previous to becoming a lawyer or a realtor, sorry. And I was working out of the courthouse in downtown Vancouver. And I was working amongst many criminal defense lawyers. And I just felt like they treated me so equal in a sense, and it was beautiful, like it was a great thing, but it kind of showed me that, you know what, like I don't think this is the avenue for me anymore. Pursued enough of it in a sense that now, like, you know, we're working as equals side by side with each other, and I'm helping them with all their cases and stuff, but I think that there's another avenue for me and I should try something, the other side, the other thing that I wanted to do and that I thought I always wanted to do, which was the real estate. And I got into it, and I mean, I've loved it ever since, so I'm happy where I am.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
it's definitely a job or a career that I see you being very good at. And it's
Yeah.
like there's certain people that are just you have to be personable. I mean, a
Yeah.
home is called a home for a reason.
Yes.
There's a difference between there's salespeople,
Right.
and I feel like certain places can get away with not so good salespeople, but
Yes.
with real estate,
Yes.
it's not even that they're salespeople. It's more
No.
of a personable relationship you create with that person because they're trying to do the best thing for you, right?
Absolutely. And that's just it. So like back to kind of our background and how we met. So yes, you worked at CAPS, but I worked at TELUS for 8 years, and that actually got me through college and university. So there, back to what you're saying about the whole sales aspect, I was a salesperson through and through. Like I had to be. You know, individuals came in and wanted a product, say the iPhone or the Samsung or whatever it was, and I would get them that product. But you're truly a salesperson. It was like, what case do you want? You know what I mean? Like, what rate plan did you want? Whereas, like you said, with this, as being a realtor, like you're a people person, and you just basically, and you're also not only like a matchmaker, I'm also, you know, a counselor, because there's wins and there's losses, right? And yeah, and then I'm really the advocate for what that client wants, right? And I work within the realm of what their budget is and what they can afford to get them what they want to get them to their goals. So it's a beautiful thing, that's for sure.
Do you like concentrate on specific areas in the Lower Mainland, or do you do it pretty much
Not
everywhere?
not necessarily, yeah, pretty much everywhere. I will follow my client wherever they want to go. So and that kind of goes both ways. So wherever they're coming from to wherever they want to go. More recently, just because of affordability and how crazy the market is right now, I do find myself a lot out in Chilliwack, say, showing a lot of property out there. And I do have a lot of clients who say we're looking to purchase in, say, Burnaby or New West, but unfortunately, they've become price out, for lack of better words, and we've moved now to Surrey,
Mm.
or they're wanting to be in, say, Port Coquitlam or Coquitlam, and now we're in Maple Ridge. You know, it's really down to their budget and their affordability, and then I'll just kind of work with that. And don't get me wrong, I will definitely try to forge through, you know, your area of choice. Like we'll exhaust all options in New Westminster if that's where you want to be. But unfortunately, if, after enough losses, we have to move over to Surrey, then so be it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I mean, I know exactly about that because
Yeah.
when me and Aaron first started looking
Right.
5, 6 years ago,
Mhm.
6 years ago when we bought a Maple Ridge,
Yeah.
we were wanting Tri-Cities. We had a realtor and we just told him we want Tri-Cities, Tri-Cities. That's where I'm born and raised. I
Same.
wanted to stay here.
Yeah.
And then when he showed us what we could get in Maple Ridge compared to what we can get out here,
Yes.
that sale that seemed like it would have been a hard sale for him wasn't that anymore.
Right.
It was, we saw the brand new townhouses being built that is like for less of a cost than
Absolutely.
30, 40-year-old townhomes with high stratas out here. Maple Ridge isn't that far out. It's
No.
just like when my parents grew up in East Vancouver.
Whoa.
When they moved to to Coquitlam when I was born, pretty much.
Yeah.
All of their friends that lived in Vancouver were like, "Why are you moving out to the boonies?"
Exactly. And it was the same with mine. So very interesting. So like you, I grew up in the Tri-Cities, actually here in PoCommunity. So I was born in North Vancouver. I was there until school age. And then when my parents were ready to actually, set their roots and foundation and put me in school, we moved to PoCommunity. And I was here for, not calling my age, but about 30 years before I invested on my own and I actually moved to the Fraser Valley. But I'm still an active member of the coquitlam community. And yeah, it's about affordability. It was back then and it is still today. So yeah.
And I mean, the travel time, I've maybe it meant a lot more back in the day when everybody worked in Vancouver. So you if you're moving to Coquitlam per se,
Right.
it could have been like it's a half an hour drive, but it was still a half an hour drive.
Yeah.
Now like, we're a business in Port Coquitlam. There's a lot more businesses opening up in cities, so people aren't having to travel cities for like city across city across city. Like
Absolutely.
we're in Maple Ridge to Poco ain't Maple Ridge to Vancouver,
No.
right? So
True.
it's
Very true.
for a 20 to 30 minute drive. It's
Yeah.
not too bad for
not
what
bad.
you can get out there.
There you go. And then there's that, right? So, and you're not the only one that realized it, and nor am I. I mean, I think over time, my clients do kind of figure that out on their own, and then they're happy with that decision. And it's not back to the whole sales side of things. It's not me having to sell them on it. They've kind of decided, okay, you know what? You're right. With my budget that I have, this is what works. And I mean, the property that you choose is not your be all end all, right? I think we were talking about this off camera earlier. You can move up. You can move up and you can also move down, right? It just kind of depends on the place you are in your life and the state you are in your life, right?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
I mean, like, it's amazing how fast a place that was huge in the beginning for you you can outgrow it so fast as soon as you start a family or something, and
Yes.
you all of a sudden you have zero room for any storage, nothing,
Yes.
and you're realizing you have to upgrade.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it hits you pretty hard. Actually,
bet.
we're in a townhome, and
Yeah.
it's like we have the kid, and it's like now there's zero. It feels like zero room for us to move,
Exactly.
and that's
Yeah.
it's funny because it was literally our dream home.
So
6
you
years
thought
ago.
6 years ago, right? And your average Canadian, your average British Columbian would move in any capacity every 5 to 7 years is what we say, as a single person or, a young couple. You start off in a condo, let's say, if you're fortunate enough to buy around that time. And then you move to, say, a townhome when you get married and have your child. And then you kind of go up from there, so it's natural.
Yeah.
And it happens, and I see it with all my clients.
So I'm gonna ask you a question about
Okay.
like just how it feels when you do make a sale for somebody or
Yeah.
like when it's a first time homeowner.
Okay.
And you do you see like is it like does it hit you a little bit emotionally harder when you know it's like a beginning to like something huge? Because I know BC how hard it is to afford real estate. So when somebody
Exactly.
can for the first time.
Yeah. You get so emotional, honestly. Like, and you may want to hide it, but you just feel so good because it's a journey. The whole thing is a process and it's a journey, and you've been with them through the whole process. So with a lot of my clients, actually all of them, many of them come to me, I'd say about half come to me pre-approved, which is great. I try to only work with people who are pre-approved, whether I set you up with a pre-approval, so find your mortgage broker or mortgage specialist, or if they come to me already with their number, which is great, makes life a lot easier for the both of us. So we're not kind of shopping and not knowing how much we have in our bank account, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So then that brings you to, the city or the neighborhood that you would most likely be successful in your purchase. So, and then we start shopping, and then you make those offers, and then they know in their minds, okay, yeah, you know what, with this budget, I know that I can afford in and around this price. And, you know, in a softer market, 9 times out of 10, we would get an accepted offer. In this current market, not so much, and we're having to go at it several times. But anyways, we do get to the finish line. But you're right. And you could just kind of hear their emotions throughout that. A lot of them, they're like, oh, you know, like, I don't really need this. And then halfway through, they're like, you know, we really need this. And then when you do that, get that accepted offer, we remove subjects. And then, like you said, completion of possession. Oh my gosh, it's just like the feeling of handing them the first pair of keys, you know, to their brand new home that they didn't have before. And just the work that it took on both ends, mine and theirs, all throughout. It's an amazing feeling. It's a wonderful feeling. And sorry to cut you off. I've been there myself, and that's a beautiful feeling too, like actually being a homeowner myself. So then I also know what they're feeling and what they're going through. And every purchase is new. Every purchase is different. Every purchase, it's a roller coaster ride, honestly. Like in the beginning, you're like, oh yeah, this is fine and it's gonna happen, and then something happens, you know, or it's super, super hard, and then all of a sudden everything just starts to come through.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I mean, it's been a roller coaster of a year and a bit, no matter what. But in real estate,
true.
especially, it's
Yeah.
like lately too.
Yeah.
It's just skyrocketing. Like,
Absolutely. And it doesn't necessarily start like that. So I think we were talking about this earlier when I first showed up. I just removed subjects a couple days ago for a client, and she's going to be an investor now because she's moving out of country, out of state, or out of province and out of state. That was an interesting one, actually, because we started off thinking, okay, she's got lots of time. We started looking in November. And she lost so many battles, for lack of better words. And finally, she came from the emotional side of it, of being like, okay, this is going to be my 3-month home, and I want it to have this, this, and this, to, okay, emotions attached or detached, sorry, and now it's just simply an investment. So we moved from, like I said, somewhere like a New West Burnaby, Vancouver situation to a Surrey situation where it's only going to be for a renter because she's moving away, you know, and it's just in a matter of months. Also, the market shifted so much that we had no choice.
yeah, I mean,
So there's that.
people joke about Surrey.
Yeah.
And you know, as a person who grew up in the Lower Mainland,
Yes.
people joke about Surrey constantly.
All the time.
But if you look at the statistics of like how much that city's growing and the space that it has, that's the new Vancouver.
It really is. It really is, you know, and that's it. And I think she saw the value in that, and we were at the end of our ropes. I mean, yeah, her partner's obviously like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So we had to kind of like get it going, and she's super happy. And, you know, we've both, her and myself, have you know, celebrated this win because it's a long time coming.
Yeah. You don't ever think about that grind that it can be, because you have some clients you probably work with that you literally can work for them for a couple weeks, or like until like the subjects are removed.
Absolutely.
But like everything is done quick, and then you have another process that, it's not that people are picky or anything, but you can work with them for almost like a year if it's in some cases, right?
Yeah,
So,
and that's the thing. And the market is a big thing, because the market is going to determine a lot of it too. Like I told you before, like it definitely goes up and down, and it will correct itself, and then it's going to go up and then down again, right? So, and there's no determining factor for that. I can't predict that, and unfortunately, we're just in it, you know. So that's just that. I mean, trust me, from back last year, 2020, when we first started looking, to now, she's seen many properties that, you know, she really liked, but things happen, right? You get outbid, or, you know, it's not the right time, or whatever it may be. So
yeah, people are getting outbid by a lot right now. We
huge.
see in Maple Ridge this, like in the last 2 months, what became, this person got 100,000 over asking price and all this. Now the asking price is that, and then it goes, the asking price is another 100,000 more than that, because of a couple sales that people gave more money than what they listed it as.
Absolutely.
And so that creates that's what the area is going to do now, and just start upping everything.
You're right.
And it's quite insane, and there's going to be a lot of people making money on these properties. What the question mark I want to ask you is, where do they go?
What do you mean?
Like how? So let's say somebody buys a place and makes a ton of money on it.
Mhm.
You look at how much stuff is inflated. If they were to take that money in their earnings and go buy a place,
Right.
they're still, even with the amount of money they're making, sometimes they're paying more on mortgages just because
Right.
like I'll say Maple Ridge 5 years ago compared to
Mm,
now,
mm,
prices are insanely different. So
mm.
where does someone go if, like it's
That's a tough question. So, oh,
it's a tough one.
it's a tough one.
I seen it with like when my friends have outgrown their place.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of them they stay put even if they've outgrown it, just because they're just like scared. They're like, what do I do?
And there is a lot of fear. I've spoken with a lot of other agents like myself, and their clients are like, "Oh gosh, like, what now?" So, I mean, in a sense, what you could do is you can kind of ride out like the market in a sense, and maybe make a longer possession, a longer completion, so you can find that property. The only thing is, it's hard to predict that time frame and like how long you have to wait to find something else. And then there is the question of inventory right now, right? And availability of something to move into. So it's, I don't want to say it's a gamble because that's the wrong word to use, but in a sense it is. You do have to just kind of like go with the flow and, and just kind
Yeah,
of hope for the best in a sense. I mean, yeah, but no one probably wants to hear that, but
it's life
it's
right
life,
now.
and it's the truth. Yeah.
Everything is like that right now.
Yeah.
It's as a business owner, I know me. It's since COVID's hit, you feel like you're just like standing on the edge of a cliff,
Yeah.
and you're just like nobody likes standing on the edge of anything for that long.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's even if you're a go with the flow person, not knowing any certainty of when stuff's gonna end and how things are gonna feel. It's
Tough.
pretty
Tough.
it's
Yeah.
tough.
And change is great.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like what you just said, like waiting on the edge of that cliff for like not knowing as to like when things are gonna switch up, and that's tough. Yeah, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's the reality of the situation right now.
Oh, it's crazy. It's been a hell of a year, and
Yes.
I know. Yeah, it's been fun at the same
Yes,
time
yes,
because
yes, it has.
it challenges you.
It does challenge you. Yeah.
And I know you with real estate.
Yes.
You were saying you were working in was this law before. You were still
Yes.
working for somebody, kind of, right?
This is the things. Yes. So
you now.
yes.
You're your own boss for the most part, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, 100%.
So, and that you have the personality for that, like knowing
Thank you. I
like
appreciate
you
it.
are a go-getter and a hard worker that
Yes.
I know like real estate is 100% for
My jam.
you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So previous, like I said, I did work for legal aid, and yes, so I had to be somewhere at a certain time. I had to work, a certain amount of hours. Don't get me wrong. I mean, my degree's in criminology. I absolutely love it. I pursued it for a reason. I am certified also to be an adult and a youth probation officer, because when I graduated, it's like anything. It's like your birthday. Like you're like, oh my gosh, something's supposed to fall from the sky, and then it doesn't. So then you're like, okay, well, I got to scramble and kind of come up with like what to do, what's next. So I was working for a nonprofit organization. It was nice right after graduation. That doesn't happen for anybody, or not for many people, but it did for me, which was nice. And I was there for some time. I'd say maybe about 2 years or so, and I kind of dabbled in other nonprofits as well. And yeah, so I thought, okay, I want to be a youth probation officer. That's what I want to do. So I took the course at JIBC and I finished that. Then I realized it's a really tough job to get into. What they're trying to do is they're trying to no longer criminalize youth, which is great. And the youth probation is governed by the Ministry of Child and Family, which is great too. But it's a lot different than what my studies kind of taught me. So then I went back to JIBC, and these are all online courses before we were doing everything online. This is back in like 2014, 2015. And then I did adult probation, kind of thinking, okay, you know what, if the youth isn't gonna work, so to speak, maybe I'll try the adult. And I tried that, and I truly believe in like, trying a handful of times, and then if it doesn't work, maybe kind of change your approach, right? So I applied for many jobs. A lot of them were like, oh yeah, you have to go, out of province, or up north, or whatever it may be. And around that time, actually, I had purchased my my own first property. It was a pre-sale, which I hugely believe in, and it's kind of one of my specialties as well. And so I was kind of waiting out the completion to that while still living here in PoCommunity with my parents. And I just thought to myself, I don't think it was the best decision, or it is necessarily the best decision to move out of the area while I'm waiting for this place to complete. Just kind of based on what I knew at the time, 5 or 6 years ago. So I decided to kind of stick around and switch things up again. Like I said, I dabbled in a couple other nonprofit organizations within the same realm, and then finally got over to legal aid. And I was working out of the courthouse and then in our office, which was downtown Vancouver. And I loved the criminal cases. I loved the criminal side of things because that was the focus of my degree. So yeah, like I said, I have a degree in criminology with a focus in corrections and restorative justice. And then, like I said, I went on and did JIBC, adult and youth probation. So I really like that correctional side of things, the crime side of things. But I was also taking like interviews for, family and the ministry and immigration. Immigration was really cool too, because when I was able to take the interviews in my office with the clients, many people don't know this about me, or maybe they do, but here in coquitlam, I did French immersion. So actually at Irvine Elementary, I think it's still around, coquitlam, and then at Riverside on the other side, I did French immersion. So I was able to kind of use, the French that I remembered. And over at at Riverside, we actually had to take a second language, even though we were in a language. So I took Spanish. So I was able to kind of use that a little bit as well. So it was fun doing the immigration cases, and then of course the crime cases out of the courthouse. But there was other cases like, the family cases and the ministry cases. And I just found, and at the time, like I said, I lived in PoCommunity. So I would take the train from downtown, from Waterfront, and then I would train back to Poco Station here, and then I would drive home. And on my train ride, I was always thinking about all the different cases that I was dealing with all day. And it was tough. And I would take the work home, for lack of better words. And it was just tough. And I didn't feel like I was actually like making the change that I signed up to be making. Whereas, and I don't even remember your question, but in my role now, I really feel like, like I said, with the whole bank account piece, like if you go through a mortgage broker or a mortgage specialist and they say, hey, you know what, your your budget is $500,000, I can work with that. Like, we may be, again, for lack of better words, priced out of, your city that you want to be in, maybe Burnaby or New West, but we can possibly, for a starter, buy something in Surrey and then work our way back. And that's nice, because then I can actually get you something. I can actually get you a property, and it's a start. And then in 5 years, you call me again, and then we can move closer to where you want to be. And I know from my own personal experience, in 5 years, you actually don't want to be where you want to be.
No, that's what I was just about to say, is
Yeah.
that I've lived in Maple Ridge for 6 years.
Yes.
And my original problem with that was being further away from here.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking I could go further.
Exactly. I'm the same, but I will say.
It's weird. I don't have, I think it's, I don't know if it's a stereotypical old bitter man, like just like not enjoying the city anymore. I much rather have peace and quiet. Maybe have a little property. That's another thing. Like, why would I want to live in Vancouver, like even in these small little like lots,
exactly,
and pay triple the price when I could go out and live on possibly one day an acre or more in Maple Ridge, Mission, something like that.
Absolutely.
Which we're boonies 10, 15, 20 years ago, but now it's just...
To some they are still.
Yeah. I live in Maple Ridge, and it is in a weird 90s realm.
Oh, really?
There's kids that still play outside.
Oh, weird.
It's amazing. People just seem to be in their own world, and it's kind of nice. When you go out on a Saturday and all you see is kids outside playing together and not on headsets inside, because... Yeah. I'm a huge video game nerd. Yeah. Always have been. Yeah. And to see where they've come, where now they don't even want kids playing in the same house. Like, not just because of COVID, but they create games more that are based for playing by yourself and then talking on a headset to your friends. Right. And it's just, that's not me. I love Maple Ridge for, there's so many young families. Right. I think Coquitlam and Poco has almost turned into just our parents.
Oh, 100%. Exactly. No, you're right. Like when I go visit my parents, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and everyone's our age, right? Yeah. All the kids are our age, so they're gone.
they're gone and they can't afford to live in the
there
cities
anyway.
anymore.
Yeah, exactly. No, and it's so true. And you're right. And so you're not alone there because my dream of being in Vancouver, gone. I don't even remember it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you, I just want to be like, I want to have a truck, like an F-150, and I want an acre, and I want to be, you know, as far out as I can be. And it's crazy. It's super crazy, but it's the
I
truth.
think it just happens.
Yeah.
I mean, some people still love the city. I have friends that are like the same age.
Yeah.
A lot of it's where you are in life.
Yeah.
And just
Maybe.
and I think if you're a lot of, I mean, let's be clear. It's hard to save money to buy a house. So like a lot of young people, if they're gonna be paying rent anywhere, the only places they're looking is out here because they're like, if I'm gonna have to pay this much more, not even have a mortgage, but to rent somewhere, I don't want to live in the middle of nowhere. I'll just pay it to live in this prime place.
True. Yeah, that is true. It is. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, I just think over time things change. Though even like what you said, yeah, it has something to do with like where you are in your life in a sense. But I just think I don't know, like your realization kind of opens up and like you're like, oh, you know what, maybe I don't want those same things, and things change over time as well, right? So with your own, I don't know, I guess it is your life, but
I think I try to grasp to like the little bit of like the enjoyment times from when I was a kid that were more basic, and it's just, it seems that
that's true.
It's almost like because of property, let's say in Vancouver, so boxed in and small, and you're spending so much money, the kids that live in those areas that they have nowhere to go outside. They can't go play on the streets. And when you move out further out and you can get those properties, that's what I picture for like my kid. That's what I'd want for him, is that he can go out in the backyard and run around with the dog.
How we did it, yeah.
Because everybody, even this property, Coquitlam, Poco, you know how much it's grown since we were kids. It's crazy. Like I remember a time when Schoolhouse didn't have Silver City.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't remember that.
I do. I grew up in Coquitlam my entire life, and I lived just up the hill by Rochester Elementary.
Okay.
And I remember it was like just the empty lot. There was nothing there, and it's just Coquitlam had nothing. We had nothing, and now. It's insane. Even when me and Aaron lived in Coquitlam together, we always complained that there was no Tim Hortons. Like all the Tim Hortons they had was like United Boulevard, Lougheed Mall, and like it was nothing close to where we lived. As soon as we moved to Maple Ridge, built a huge tower after the Tim Hortons.
With the Tim Hortons. Manifestation.
And now it's like, I've been in there once.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. But it's the truth.
But I mean, I can dog this area all I want for prices or whatever, like I said, but we were here for a reason.
Absolutely.
Like our business is in Poco for a reason. There's always going to be a connection to the Tri-Cities.
Absolutely.
You said you moved out to the Fraser Valley, but you really like your business out here. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's where I'm from. It's where I'm connected. Like I said, my parents are still out here. I went to school from elementary. Like I did kindergarten here. Like I said, I went to Irvine Elementary and worked my way up. I went to, Coquitlam after that because I was in French Immersion. I crossed Lougheed and went over to Riverside, but I was always here,
I had no idea you were in French Immersion.
Oh, wow. Now you know.
Same with Nikki?
Yeah, same with Nikki. Yeah,
oh, wow.
We both were,
I had no idea. Yeah. I was told to never take French again.
Oh, okay. All right. I was too, but for a different reason. But
Spanish. I love learning Spanish.
Yes,
French,
it's a beautiful language. Yeah.
French. I did not have a fun time. And I heard my mom had the same story. She was told
weird.
She was in basically the teacher told her if he would pass her if she didn't take it again.
Oh gosh. Okay. How's she doing now? No.
This is great. She doesn't speak French. Okay. I don't speak French either. And
there you go.
I mean, it's a plus. I mean, you said you kind of used it, and it's. I know how much of a plus it is. French immersion schools. I mean, I went to French immersion school. I just wasn't in French immersion.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah. No, and it was nice. Like at Quay, I don't know if they still do it now, but we had a Montreal trip, and we actually go to Quebec and Montreal, and that was super cool too, because I remember all the English kids, they weren't allowed to go on that same trip or able to, you know what I mean? And they didn't even have a trip, and we did, I don't remember, it was like 6th or 7th grade, so I don't even remember how long we went for, but it was super cool because it was like my first time aside from like family vacations, getting on a plane and going with all my classmates, you know, like it was super cool to go practice our French.
Yeah, they had the same thing. I went to Millard Middle, and it
Okay.
was the same.
It was the
They always
same,
get
yeah.
that. But there was a big rivalry between English speaking kids and French
Oh,
immersion there. Like
okay.
there was like tackle football games
Oh
between the
shoot.
classes and stuff, and it was like always
Yes.
French fries versus English muffins. That's
Yes.
what we call each
I think
other.
we had something similar. Yeah, yeah.
But there was a
We
lot of.
totally.
I'm surprised none of the. There's never any like broken bones or anything
Gosh.
because it was funny what kids did, but
Yes.
I wouldn't change it for the world.
No.
That's the thing. I
Same.
love this area. I loved growing up here. It's changed drastically.
Has it ever? Yeah.
It's very
Yes.
turned into. It's just more of a city now.
City. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's true. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't change too much.
Have you noticed that not all types of housing has gone up? It's mostly been like townhouses and condos and stuff, and then like regular houses have kind of stayed the same. It's only gone up a little bit.
Yeah, yes and no. Yeah, yes. And then I think it's down to affordability though. I think it really is.
Yeah.
Especially where they're being priced at per se. Maybe not everybody can afford that, especially in these trying times, right? So I think that that's what's kind of gravitating a lot more buyers to say condos and the townhomes. And then because it is a seller's market, there's less inventory, but more buyers kind of after it, right? So that's going to, of course, bring up the prices in those two categories. Same is happening in single family homes. It's just we're not seeing it as much. But I think that they're the ones that are actually, I feel like, getting the most overbid. Maybe townhomes as well. And again, it's completely like cyclical, so to speak. It's up and down, right? So it's going to change, right? Earlier in February, oh gosh, it was crazy. I'd say in all categories. I think it's still now, but it just, yeah, it depends. And then who knows? By the end of March, we may, well, no, spring market's coming. So, I mean, who knows? It may stay this way for a little bit and then kind of go back down in summer, right?
Yeah. What's traditionally like the most busy season in real estate?
I'd say spring.
Spring?
I'd say spring, yeah. But because of, the pandemic and everything like that, that's kind of shifted things. And it's kind of like, yeah, shaking it up just a tad. And it was the same last year as well, that it was like an early spring market. We're like, oh, where's this coming from? And it's no different this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might stay elevated for a longer period of time like it did last year.
Yeah.
So, but again, there's no way to predict that.
Yeah.
It's just, it happens.
Yeah, you hear all these people predicting what's going to happen with the real estate. And
Yes.
it's never, seems like it's never right.
Well, this is just it. Or it is for like a split second and then it changes or it corrects itself, right? So,
It's like playing stocks.
yeah, and it's exactly the same. Yeah.
It's crazy. I just really like it's gonna be crazy to see where people come after COVID, come out where they're at because
Yes.
I really like it'd be really nice to see more young people be like buying houses.
Oh my gosh, I completely agree.
It's pretty. It sucks that there's so many young people having to pay basically their parents' generation a bunch of money to live, while their inflation has happened in all aspects of the world, like of life,
Yeah.
where everything has gone up except for wages. Really, they have gone up a little bit, but compared to what everything's at, when you go to McDonald's now and it's $11 for a meal.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. But no, it's exactly what you said. Like there's an inequality in a sense with like wages and then like the cost of everything. You know what I mean? Including housing. Like it's crazy, unfortunately. And that's the thing. And then like you said, the down payment is the big struggle as well, right? If you haven't been saving since, high school for a place, then where are you going to get the money from? Unless it's been gifted or whatever it may be. And then like you said, if people that are in and around our age are paying someone else's who's around the same age as a mortgage to live in a space that they're renting for years and years and years, how are they going to put aside the extra funds for themselves to buy something? So that's tough too. And I think it's a huge educational piece, and that's the part that I love the most. Because I'm also a property owner, I love to educate people and say, like, hey, you can do it, talk to me early. Because a lot of people are afraid and they don't want to talk to me early and they want to talk to me like just before. And then unfortunately, they're disappointed with what my mortgage broker says or their mortgage specialist says. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, what do you mean I can't XYZ? I saved up the money like you said I should, But then there's other factors like, oh, did you just like finance that new car that you really liked? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, unfortunately, that changes the equation. Did you not pay off your credit card after buying a really nice TV during COVID or whatever it may be. Yeah, no, I still have that bill over there. Well, that's also going to affect the equation. So just the educational pieces of the do's and the don'ts. And like, not a lot of people know about that. And I always try to educate and tell people every time you buy or sell, it's almost not different, but it's a new experience again, because not, like I said to you off camera, like people aren't buying and selling every single weekend, right? We're doing it 5 to 7 to 10 years, and things change. The council's changing things all the time. All the different boards are changing things all the time. One example, and this is kind of before my time, is dual agency. So, in example, if I was selling my sister's home, for lack of examples, to you and Aaron, and I was representing you and Aaron, I couldn't represent you and Aaron and Nikki at the same time. I'd have to choose. You know what I mean? So there's little things like that, and the amount of paperwork that goes into it, and it's new for the buyers and the sellers every single time they go through the process, right? And it's my job to educate you and hold your hand really through it all, and that's the part I love. I really love it. I don't know how other agents feel about it, but I really love it. I don't know what it is, and to me, like, no question is stupid, and I love repeating myself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind it at all. So, because I get a lot of clients that are like, oh my gosh, I've asked you this 10 times, but can you tell me again, like X, Y, Z? And I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, sure. Do you need me to explain it differently this time? Like, was there something I missed, And
Oh man,
yeah.
and buying a house, the
Yeah.
amount of paperwork that goes into it, and I can imagine in bidding
Yes.
battles. So
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's just like, yeah, I don't think I read every sheet. There's no way. And we bought the house. It's just it's so much work.
There is, yes.
So-
Exactly.
So obviously, like it's like we were talking about how hard it is. It's a lot of people living check to check.
Yeah.
But another thing that makes it's like buying a house so special is that the young people that somehow, if they couldn't save it themselves, but they inherited it somehow. That's when you inherit money. It's never like a positive situation of why you got that.
Okay.
So
okay,
it's like buying a house with that money. It means so much more to them.
Yeah.
So like I could see this as being like one of the most rewarding jobs you could ever have.
Yes, it is. It really is. Yeah. And I can actually like invoke positive change. Like I can actually do it. And that's why I'm saying like the smiles on their faces when they get those keys. Or, I've had a family friend like call me and say, the mortgage was approved, and she's crying, like her eyes out, and I'm like, hello, are you still there? Are you okay? It's just crazy, to be with them during that process. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, it's definitely rewarding, like so rewarding.
Yeah, like that stereotypical picture of the like couple in front of their door the first time they get their keys. Like, and I have so many friends that have bought their houses. That's the picture they all get.
Yes.
And you always see like the same emotions on their faces, like happy, ecstatic, nervous.
Oh yes.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's like you see just like so many stories with their eyes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's true. It's so true. And I always tell my clients, like, especially if they're like first time home buyers, they're new to this, like I'm like, well, expect to be like house rich poor for like a couple months, and then it will correct itself. But it's something new, right, that you've never had before. Like rent's one thing, but like say it's like a stratified property, imagine paying the mortgage and the strata and all the other bills along with it. It's no different than say a single family detached home. I'm not saying I don't do that as well, but yeah, it's huge, but it's a great feeling. And they always, thank me. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. But I'm like, no, you did this. You did this with your budget and, with your savings, with your, saving habits and the ability to say it's not a situation where it's an inheritance, but say they actually saved up those funds on their own, right? Over time or in a short period, like that's amazing. Their job, being able to, obtain a salary of X amount consistently for 2 years or whatever it may be. Staying away from those luxuries for a little bit while you're not going through the process of, keeping your credit card up to date and not getting that new car until after. And there's no problem with getting that new car or racking up your credit card. I mean, off the record, no, I'm kidding. But do that after, get all the fancy new furniture after. And I'm not a mortgage broker or a specialist, so I can't speak to that so much, but I'm just like speaking on experience and what I've done and what other, of my clients, my family friends have done. Like, wait to get the furniture, because when you're going through the process of getting that mortgage approved, the finance or the bank, whoever is going to see all those charges. And then unfortunately that is going to affect you negatively, right? And
Yeah.
it's going to go against at the end what you can actually afford. And something that I actually learned in the business, and a lot of people don't know as well, when you go to the bank or a mortgage broker or whatever and get that approval, so you think it's actually just a pre-approval. And until I actually write a contract and we get it accepted, and I actually pass that contract back to your mortgage broker or your specialist, that makes it a live deal, and then they can run your mortgage at that point. So for an example, say like you were given like a pre-approval of 600,000, it's not until I get that accepted offer and I pass it back to them, whether directly to them or through you, can they actually run those numbers and ensure that, you know what, actually you can afford this accepted offer at $599 or, $590 or whatever you put in. So it's just little pieces like that that obviously I have, in my professional memory bank, and I'll hold your hand through, right? Because I don't expect my clients to remember any of that. They shouldn't. You only do this every 5 to 7, maybe 10 years, right? I do this every day.
Yeah, and it's like if you rack up your credit cards and stuff on furniture beforehand, it's not that smart, because if you get the house, then all of a sudden the banks are throwing more money at you for like lines of credits that are tied to your house. Your credit card balances will probably go up because you're a homeowner, because they know they can come at you for something. So then you can actually like improve everything drastically.
True. Exactly. So just pump the brakes and wait a little, have some patience. It's hard sometimes, obviously. It's like a feeling of elation, right? So you just, you kind of start to like envision and dream, like, okay, this is what I want the living room to look like, the dining space. And you see all these things online. Sales are really hard too. So you see all these sales, I want to buy it right now, but you just gotta wait. Another big one is a new car. Like, that's a huge one. And all my brokers remind me, okay, Kira, like, remind your clients, no new cars. I'm like, okay, have they got a new car yet? No, and they're going to wait. Okay, then pass them my way, because that's another big one too. And I learned that from my own personal experience, actually. 5 or 6 years ago when I got my place, and I was trying to run the mortgage, I had to pay off my car.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Cars are the worst.
Yeah, they're the worst.
Like, honestly, they are the worst kind of payments you could possibly have. Mortgage is fine.
Yeah, mortgage
but
is fine.
When you're paying, like, I forget what ours is paid off now.
Yeah.
Due to inheritance, actually, was like, it was like, okay, we're going to, luckily, because we signed a 7-year agreement for payments, and it's just like the interest and like $300 bi-weekly, and you're all of a sudden paying like a mortgage and your car payment. And gas is up, and it's just like now you're spending like $1,000 a month on this guy.
Insurance as well, and that's just it. And you think going into it, because I remember I did. I go to Honda, I'm like, all right, let's back in the day. But anyways, okay, let's stretch it out for as long as we possibly can. You know what I mean? Because that's better for me. But then like it comes time to like, purchase a home or whatever it may be, and run that credit and go through that process of the mortgage. I had to find a way to get rid of this thing, like pay it off as quick as I possibly could, So what was a good idea when I was getting the car wasn't so good of an idea where my life was at that time, right?
Yeah.
So, but it happens.
Don't you wish they taught us stuff in school that actually made sense to real life?
Yes.
Like saving and taxes and all this stuff. Because I think people, when we went into buying a house, it was such a cluster of just so much thrown at us.
Too much information.
You had no idea. I didn't even know what a notary public was. So it's like, it's just,
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, Kira, I think we've been talking for a while here, so I might want to wrap it up.
Okay.
But I loved having you here. If you ever want to do this again, even for like, you have the personality for this.
Thank you.
Should do it. Honestly, I think it would work really well with real estate too, like media and real estate. I was telling you off camera earlier, just like some trailers, or not I say trailers, but like just virtual tours that are more like movie trailers nowadays. That just insane amount of marketing you can use, and you do an amazing job already at it. So I would be excited to see what you can do with like media arts.
Yes, and I feel like you're right. We could probably talk about so much more. So I'll definitely be back. I promise.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you, Kira.
Thank you.
And thank all of you for watching this. It's been another episode of PoCommunity. I'm Mike Garboit. She's Kira Johnson. Where can we find you?
Where can you find me? I don't know. Where am I supposed to be found? Instagram, Facebook. I will definitely give you my link so it can be in the comment section, so I can be reached that way. So
cool. Yeah. So look out for the graphic right after this. You'll have all of Kira's contacts, and definitely, if you're looking into real estate, consider Kira because she's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thanks, everybody. Thank
Okay.
you. Have a good one.
Bye.